Hey guys, this is Melody Fletcher with Deliberate Receiving, where the law of attraction finally makes some freaking sense. Today's burning question comes from awesome Shannon. All right, Shannon, thanks for giving me your name instead of wanting to remain anonymous. She wants to know, hi Melody, I'm interested in your perspective on educating children. Ooh, I am so passionate about education. Thank you, Shannon. I want to know more about how we might teach children to feel empowered, if in fact this is truly a teachable skill. I'm concerned about this from a social justice perspective, as in, I'd like to know how we might encourage this in economically and racially marginalized communities. I understand that we cannot force a child to recognize her power if she's not vibrationally ready or open to it, but with the vast number of students living in poor communities, what should we do in schools when we make ourselves available to the ones we can help? Well, like I said, Shannon, education is actually one of my hot button issues. It's something that I'm incredibly passionate about, so I so appreciate the chance to talk about this. Now, you say in your question that you understand that you can't force a child to raise their vibration if they're not open to it, but here's the thing about kids. Kids don't have nearly as much resistance as adults do, and they are much faster to respond to any kind of energy work and any kind of uplifting work that we do. So you are going to see a powerful shift in people much faster when you're working with children than when you're working with adults. But of course, the shift that you have to make is within yourself, not in them. And that's the difficult thing to remember. You cannot focus on them and look for a response in them so that you can feel better. Because when you're doing that, you're putting the burden of how you feel onto them. And that's actually what most people do, parents and educators alike. We look at children, we think it's our responsibility to somehow make them into good human beings, and we're constantly looking for evidence that they're becoming that. And actually, most of society is constantly looking for evidence that they're not becoming that, especially with people in these sort of socioeconomic situations. Yeah. So when you're working with children or anybody in these kind of situations, the first thing that you want to do is you want to check yourself and make sure that you're not making them responsible for how you feel, that you hold no judgment against them, that you're not saying that you're not looking for what they're doing wrong. Yeah. You want to look for what they're doing right. You want to respect them. You want to honor them for the powerful creators that they are. You want to look at their happy, shiny, bright souls. Yeah, who they really are inside, and not look so much at the situation that they're in. You don't want to pity these kids. You don't want to look at them as though they're disenfranchised. They knew exactly what they were what they're doing when they were coming into the situation. They knew what they were coming into when they were born from a soul perspective. So do not dishonor that choice by saying somehow they've made a mistake or something has gone wrong. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't help when you're inspired to, but that's because this is fun for you to help, and it's beneficial for them at the same time. So it's like you're playing a game together, not because they really need your butt to intervene, and without you, they won't be okay. There's still a powerful creator in there. So once you've kind of checked your mindset and your attitude on this to see, are you judging them? Are you doing it because you think you have to? Are you doing it because you don't think they'll be all right without you or without your help? You want to get rid of all of that and just play with them, be light with them, respect them, respect who they are, listen to them. Let their own wisdom come through. Assume that their own wisdom is there for them to listen to, because it totally is. And that the choices that they make, that as they're listening to that wisdom, may not look at all like the choices that you think they should make. Again, that's judgment, that's control. You got to stay away from that if you're wanting to help kids or really wanting to help anybody. So let's talk about a couple specific things that you can do to inspire these children. That vibration that you're holding, seeing them in their power, seeing them as strong, powerful creators, honoring and respecting their own guidance, that's going to go a long way already. And from that place, you're going to be inspired to use certain words that will really hit home. But there's a couple other things that you can do. And the first one is that what you want to do is you want to always talk to them about what they can do rather than what they can't do, what they're doing well rather than what they're not doing well. You want to use language, and oftentimes you may be the only person in their life that is focusing on them that way. Again, most people focus on children, and particularly children in these socioeconomic groups, looking at them as, how are they screwing up? I know they're going to screw it up, so how are they screwing it up now? And I have to step in there and control. You may be the only person in a life right now that is willing to look at them and say, how are you getting it right? How are you getting it right? Now, that may not seem like a big difference to some people, but it's actually a huge difference. This, by the way, is also a technique that works wonders if you're managing staff. If you're in a business situation where you're managing staff, you start to look for what people are doing right, and you're going to see more. This is a way for you to line up your vibration with the best of them. So again, it's not about fixing them or inspiring them. It's about you deciding what you want to match up with in your reality and changing your frequency accordingly. The second thing that you can do with them is you can help them dream. Now, again, you don't want to make that about control. So it doesn't matter what they're dreaming about, and it doesn't even have to be anything realistic, as long as it evokes from them a really passionate, joyful feeling. This is why, for example, if a little kid says, I want to be an astronaut, you do not sit there and talk to them about how difficult it will be to become an astronaut. Let them dream of becoming an astronaut, or the President of the United States, or flying to the sun. It doesn't matter. Do not try to be too realistic about what their dreams can be. Let them hook up with that joyful passion that is so easy for children to achieve, and let them inspire you with that joy and passion. Encourage them to dream. And again, you may be one of the only people in their reality who's willing to play with them like that. Encourage them to dream. Encourage them to follow their own guidance. That's number 3. Encourage them to follow their own guidance, to listen to their gut. Honor them. Say, you know what to do. You know what you want. What is it that you want? How do you feel about that? Instead of constantly telling them how they should feel or what they should think, which is what most of society is going to do, and why that's wrong, by the way, yeah? Encourage them to listen to their own guidance. I love working with kids for this very reason, because they're so responsive. And if you shine a non-judgmental light on them, if you honor them, if you respect them, if you listen to them, and if you encourage them to listen to their own guidance, which what you're doing there is you're validating their guidance, because they already hear it, but hardly anybody in their reality is going to validate that for them often. If you're the person that does that for them, they will blossom in your presence. And other teachers are going to look at you and say, how are you getting Johnny to behave so well in your class? He is a terror in my class. And it's because in your class, he is pushing against everything that you're doing by looking at him. And in my class, he's not. You can get a completely different version of these kids. So don't listen to any of the histories that other teachers want to tell you about them. Don't look at their home situation from a point of view of trying to explain why they're so difficult to work with. Yeah, sometimes it can be helpful to know the backstory, but don't hold on to that story and judge them by that story, and don't hold them to that story. Let them be who they really are, knowing that whatever other stories they're playing out are often happening because other people are not doing that for them, and they're wanting to rebel against that. And those kids that are rebelling the most, they're the most determined to feel good. Those are the most powerful ones amongst them. Honor them as such, and they will show you that side. And they may not show it to anybody else, but they'll show it to you. So thank you so much, Awesome Shannon. This was a great question. If you thought this video was helpful, then please consider sharing it with somebody else who will benefit from it. And if you would like to join the discussion on education, something that I'm so passionate about, I'm always willing to listen and read to read anything that has to do with education at all, then please leave a comment below or join the discussion on the blog at deliberatereceiving.com. If you have a question that you'd like to ask, then leave it in the comments. I do read them all. I don't always have a chance to answer them all, but I do read them and appreciate each and every one. Or come to the site and leave it in the contact form, and it'll go directly into my inbox. So for now, I'm sending you guys happy, shiny, educational puppy hugs, and I will see you next time. Bye.